Ladies and gentlemen, wanderers and makers, gather close. Tonight the prairie has a pulse and beating through a microphone with a name we all know, the Steve Brown Art Center podcast. It rolls like a hay wagon oracle, a traveling chapel of color and chaos, where every story is a spark and every guest is a lantern. Held up against a long Midwestern night, hear the painters speak in thunder, the poets speak in riddles, and the dreamers, they show up with pockets full of wild ideas that scatter across the floor like spilled marbles of possibility. The mics crackle, the room leans in, and suddenly we're all passengers on this bohemian caravan riding through small town myth past cornfields of memory into the open country of imagination. This isn't just a podcast, it's a gathering, a rebellion, a reminder that art is not a luxury, it's a lifetime, a rope we throw to each other when the world gets too heavy. So here's to the voices, the stories, the laughter that shakes the dust from the rafters. Here's to the Steve Brown Art Center podcast, a place where the community becomes magic and magic becomes home. Welcome to the wagon. We're glad you're here. I'm Jim Gillespie with their co-host Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus. Welcome to the show. A sponsor who's been with us since the birth of the Steve Brown Art Center has been Derek's Repair, located in Jesup, Iowa. Contact Derek Marty for your car repair needs. We had coffee with Derek the other day.
He's an interesting story he has, and an interesting life. I mean, the whole group there, I think, really amazed at all he could do after he lost his sight. I think it's a fantastic story.
Yeah, it is a great story. We'll have to have him on again here for a major interview. Also, check out the podcast, What Is Up, with our friend Bubba Seaman. On that podcast, they talk about everything with everyone. Nothing is off the table. Discussing real life with real people.
Has he ever had a fairy on his show?
We have.
Yeah. I think we're the only podcast in the state that's had a fairy and those Swiss Longhorn players. Yeah. You know, I mean, you cannot. It's amazing.
It is. I would challenge people.
Challenge anybody to come up with a fairy on their podcast.
That's right. It's an interesting yet entertaining podcast that Bubba has with real people talking about what is up. But tonight, we are coming to you from the Jesup Public Library, and they are kind enough to allow us to be in the community room, and we have a rock star with us.
That's very good.
Thank you.
That's very true. I see it right there on the rocks.
There you go. Yeah. He is an artist from Independence, Iowa.
What's his name?
Is Dan Lake. He studied under one of the more famous artists of Independence. What was his name, Dan?
Bob Bainbridge.
Tell us about Bob a little bit first, will you?
Well, Bob was a super guy. Actually, when they moved to Independence in like 68, I'm going to say, they moved in right across from my parents, and I thought Bob was super cool. So I would always go over there anytime Bob was outside, and Bob said he was expecting me to get hit on 6th Avenue Southwest because that was Farm to Market Road, so everything was on that road. Right. But that never did happen.
That's good.
But he sparked my interest in art, one of the many. Then when I got into high school, then I got to have Bob for my art teacher, and which was awesome. I got tons of stories with Bob. He got me interested in one of the items, too, is pottery. So they would have nighttime classes for people that graduated umpteen years, you know. Craig Blade and myself, we would help Bob teach pottery. Mm-hmm. And we just thought that was awesome.
I bet,
because these people that were older than us, they had a hard time throwing a pot. Craig and me, we'd just throw it right down and we'd just get it centered and take off. And then drawing, he had drawing classes, and Craig and myself, we'd help Bob do that also. And he was a very good guy. And the last few years of his life, I was off work because of medical reasons. So I would go over to Bob's house, and he would watercolor and I'd paint rocks. And then we just sit and talk all day and do that and take a break and talk more. It was just really relaxing.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you guys developed more than a friendship.
Yeah.
And you were there for Bob at the end when he needed you.
Yes, and also he was into construction on the side, and that's what I did also. So Bob and another person, they had a lot of rental properties where they'd buy up a house, fix it up, and rent it out. And I done Bob's drywall work and countertop custom making. I always tell everybody he was my mentor from when I was 8 years old till I was 65.
Cool. When's the last time that you threw a pot or of clay?
That was with Bob up to Jakeway, north of Winthrop, just south of
Aurora.
And we had kick wheels up there. They weren't electric, so you had to use your foot and kick to spin them. And that was like 1996, I do believe, and I haven't thrown a pot since.
Right. So the reason you're here tonight, Joe Olson introduced you and I at his house.
Yes.
And we knew right away we had to have you on. There's such a neat story of how you developed friendship with Bob, and then you started showing me your rocks, and it's incredible. How did you get started doing painting rock?
Well, actually, that was even back in high school. Bob would go out and get rocks and clean them up and bring them in. And so for part of art class, we would paint rocks. And me and this Craig Blade, we really got into that. But everybody, they thought that was crazy because they should use canvas, or watercolor paper. And so, I started doing it then. And then I dropped it for 30 plus years. And then I got back into it. And the rest is history. And I've been going and going and going. And I'm in about 12 different rock clubs around Iowa, and one's in the UK even.
And what do those clubs do?
Well, we post our rocks.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and then just give detail on them or not. And
Have you ever heard of people painting rocks and they will leave them someplace for somebody to find, to have a little hopeful message on there or anything like that? Because my grandkids from Michigan did that. They brought some rocks out here and put them around in areas where they had lots of stones.
Yes, I do that quite often, especially St. Luke's and Cedar Rapids. I was down there for PT and OT after triple bypass, and I took a bunch of rocks down there for everybody and handed them all out. So I was known as the rock guy.
The rock guy.
I've done up some special rocks for a couple of nurses, and I won't go in detail on them.
That's fine.
But they were special for them.
Yeah.
And when I had my triple heart bypass at Allen Hospital, I made everybody like in the OR room who was going to be in there during my surgery, I made them all rocks. And intensive care where I was after my surgery, and I got a really good story about them. And for all my doctors, all my nurses, and all other specialties like lab, x-ray, and everybody, but I painted a little over 200 rocks.
Wow.
In 4 days just for that.
And you need more hard work after that, probably.
Yeah. When I go down to Iowa City to visit people, I always take a bunch of rocks, and when I go in, do my valet parking because I don't like to walk.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
The gals there, and it's usually the same two gals and a fella, and I walk up and I go, "You guys, do you remember me?" "No." I said, "I'm Mr. Rock Guy." And they go, "Did you bring any more?" But then I would hide them all around the hallways. When I'd go down, I'd just set them on a windowsill or a door ledge. And then when I would leave, they'd always be gone.
Yeah. And so each of those rocks has a story if you would ever run into somebody. I think that's very interesting to just think about all the different places those rocks ended up.
Yeah.
You said you had an interesting one about your the hospital when you were in the hospital.
Yes.
Tell us that story.
Well, after my surgery, I was in ICU, and I still had all them lovely machines hooked up to me and everything. And well, then I woke up, and it freaked them out because I woke up earlier than they thought I would. And this lady was walking by the doorway, and she was crying pretty good. I guess I told him to go get her. I told my daughter to grab, or my girlfriend, to grab the bag of ICU rocks. My daughter and I, we separated all the rocks for everybody. And so they did, and she came back, and she started going through it, and she saw this rock in the bag, and I guess she really lost it, started crying, and she kind of went down on her knees and was saying like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. The rock I had painted was off the movie Up, where the house is floating up in the air with all these balloons that are hooked to it. And her son, who was in intensive care, that was the same tattoo he had on his back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And coincidence? I don't think so. That was one of the rough ones after I got out of it, and then they kept telling me because I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Right. So did you ever meet that lady again?
No.
No. You never did. So tell us the process. Hold up a couple of rocks for the camera here.
Okay.
For the cameras here, ones that...
Okay. Well, when I first got back into rock painting, these are my first two I did. It looked pretty bizarre. I done these two the same night, but then now I should have brought really cool ones, but now I'm graduated and I do stuff like this, or Be My Valentine, and I done a hamburger because I did a hot dog for a friend of mine, so I thought I'd do a hamburger. And for Tex Pentecost from Independence, for his daughter.
Luann.
Yep.
Yep.
And I painted up some Texas rocks. And so on his headstone, there's a couple Texas rocks. And out there to the Fort Pentecost, there's a bunch of these all scattered throughout.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and one of my goofy ones, it says 1 in a million. I kind of like that one. Yeah, and Christmas trees. I like doing them.
That's a neat one right there. The detail. I mean, look at the detail there, Dale.
Yeah.
I mean, the look down there on the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see.
It is amazing.
Yeah, showing the roots and the bark and but yeah, out at our cabins we have a Halloween party out there, and so I painted up a bunch like with a
witch's hat and everything, the bats,
and I had a couple other ones, but them already were picked and taken. But I've done a couple rocks what were 10 inches across, and they're about like that thick is all. And I go to Cordova, Illinois to buy them. There's a rock quarry right on the river, Mississippi.
And what kind of rocks are those that you get from
all
there?
different kinds and types, but they're super smooth from all the sand,
from the water,
the water.
Sure.
And they're really awesome. And my brother Tony, that's down there, I'll pick him up at his assisted living place, and he just laughs. He says, I knew you're crazy, and now we're going to go buy rocks. So, yeah. And then I leave rocks there at the quarry when I buy rocks.
Oh, sure, I bet, yeah.
And so I leave painted rocks there.
Yeah, they're really very interesting. And you can put about anything you want on there, really.
Yes.
I mean, just whatever you're thinking.
Yep.
It's like your canvas.
So, okay, give us the life story of this rock from the start. I mean, not just a regular rock.
Just a regular rock.
Yeah, just give us a life story of one.
Okay, well, the majority of my rocks, I go to a local quarry in Independence, and they have piles of different rocks for like your yard and all that. So I go through the rock pile what are from like 2 inches to 5 inches across, and I try to find the flattest ones. My best paintings are actually like this one here. It's on a rough rock, and I had the shakes real bad that day. That's why nothing is really cool straight. Yeah, and so then I clean the rocks all off outside and soak them in my 5-gallon buckets, and then the next day I go out with my scrub brush and scrub them off, and I let them dry. And my front deck, it's full of rocks. There's a couple little girls, couple houses from me, when they're on their walk with their grandma or their mommy or one of their aunts, well, they always stop and they ask if they can have some rocks.
Yeah.
So I'll put painted rocks out there for them even, and so it makes their day.
Yeah.
So Okay. So then, how many different projects are you painting at one time, Dan?
Oh, probably 20.
Really?
Yeah.
So we know a lot of different artists that are working on like 4 or 5 different canvases at one time, but not 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, you have the rock and you've cleaned it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now do you paint what do you do next?
Yeah.
How do you start?
Then I go in and I either put a gray base down or a white base coat of paint down. And then I'll paint over them whatever my next color will be. Well, I'll do like 10 of them, all that color on different size rocks.
This is brush painting, like?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, and I use acrylic paint, and I use the softest brushes that I can find.
And do you do so do you have to do one side and then wait? Or can you hold it up and paint the whole thing?
No, I just paint one side.
Okay.
Unless I don't like it, then I'll flip it over and I'll paint something else.
Okay, well, I noticed this one is painted on all the way around. So not all of them.
No.
Oh, okay, all right. Not all of them are. I picked up the wrong one. The one you did that way.
Yeah, the one I
picked
did.
up. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I wait till that coat dries, or else if I'm in a really good mood for painting, then I bring out my $high heat gun and I warm up the rock a little bit by holding the heat gun about 12 inches away from the rocks, and then that speeds up the drying of them. And then I'll another color down and I'll do the same thing. Some nights I can crank out about 20 rocks, which are pretty detailed. But that's from like 6 o'clock at night to like 10:30 or 11 at night. But then when I wake up, which is normal, about 2:30, I wake up and I start painting rocks because I cannot fall back asleep.
Yeah. So the different colors, though, do you have to do one color and wait, or can you just can you make a flower, make the yellow, make the center red or whatever, and all at one time and just go from there? It's all just freehand kind of. Coming out of your hand into your brain into your hand. And okay.
Yep, and like some rocks, it sounds crazy, but they'll be on my deck and I'll go out and I'll look at that rock for maybe 4 months and I don't see nothing in it. And then someday I'll just walk by and it's just sitting right.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like, oh my gosh, that looks like a heart. Yeah. So then I'll paint it red and put quotes on it. I done some for my surgery team. Yeah. And I put a heartbeat across the rock about 4 inches long. Sure. And it said and D. Yeah. And then it's on above a flat line. And then I start the heartbeat. And then I have under it, I'm good. Because then the heartbeat starts.
Can you hear sculptors say, like they have for the wood or whatever, marble, they say there's something in that. I don't know what it is. When I get started, it'll come out. And they don't have an idea when they start of what it's going to be, but something comes to them as they see what's inside that log or that rock. And I just think it's very interesting. You kind of do the same thing too.
Yeah, I had this one rock and it came from a quarry and it was like, what am I going to do with that? And that sat for 1.5 years in my basement, just up on a shelf in a bucket. And anyway, I was going through it. I go, oh my gosh, that's an alligator head. Yeah. And so I painted up like an alligator.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that neat? Yeah. You got to be patient, don't you? Yeah. That's great.
We've got to take a break here. This is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. We're with Dan Lake, and we'll be right back. So Dan, before you have a lot to talk about with heart surgeries, but before we do that, you were involved in a major mural that's in Independence. It's there at Bremer Park. Yes. Done by I believe it's your sister-in-law Barb. Tell us about that, will you?
Yes. This is, I'm thinking either 82, 83, or 84. The side of the building facing the mill on the same side the dam is on the north side of the Main Street. My brother Tom and I, well, power washed off that whole side of that building. And then Dennis Van Deventer, a painter, he came in, he put some special primer on that, sprayed it on. And then my brother Tom and I, we snapped a grid on there. So there's a line vertically every foot and a line horizontally every foot on that whole building.
Yeah.
So you snapped the grid using a chalk line, is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and red chalk so it stained it.
Yeah.
In case it rained, it wouldn't wash off.
Okay.
And which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so then Tom and I, we set up scaffold for the girls, and Sarah Sheets helped Barb on that. And she's an artist in her own. She is just phenomenal.
And where does Sarah live?
Independence.
She does.
Yeah.
Is that her still her name, or did Sarah marry? It's Sarah Sheets. All right, I'll have to investigate into that.
Yep. And so they got that painted. It was all volunteer work. And can I say about the bar?
Sure. Yes, please tell the
We're
story.
wide open here.
That's right.
Well, there is a bar right across the street, and I knew the owner. And so at nighttime when we were there working, I would walk across the street and I'd tell the owner of the bar, charge this to the mayor, and I'd get a 6 or a 12 pack.
Yeah.
And so Tom and I, we would sit in our chairs, watch the girls work, and beer.
Wow. So did you go through and say, okay, this square paint red and this square paint green, or how did that work?
No, Barb and Sarah, they had it all designed out on a grid on a paper, and it was different sheets, and so they went up there and they just started drawing what was in that square. They would put the lines on, and I was totally floored on how cool it looked. But in high school, we would do that grid painting all the time.
Yes.
But that was just like on a sheet 24 by 22.
Yeah. So there were two women that did all the painting?
Yes.
Okay, and that's a tall building.
All with brushes.
Yeah, and up on that scaffolding.
Yes.
No spray paint at all.
No spray paint.
Yeah.
And how long did that take, Barb
my
and
gosh.
Sarah?
My recollection, it was a lot less than what Barb thought. And so it was about a month and a half.
That's what we were talking about that over at Joe's house when we met. That's about what it takes artists that do murals now. It takes them about 6 weeks or so to do a large mural like that.
Yeah, and what's amazing is what's left there. It's been all these years, and it's what's there. It still looks good.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And that was paint back then, and now the paint's so much better. There's more pigment in it. And,
Oh, is that right? Okay.
and
I
better,
didn't know that either. But
better UV qualities.
Joe asked me to take a picture of that, and then I used the evil AI to repaint it. And I have a couple pictures online. We'll have to share with Blake when we're done of Bremer Park.
Okay.
And that painted or repainted, but it's amazing that what you guys did back in 81. You think it was 81, huh?
Oh, 83, I'm going to say.
Okay.
So figure 6 weeks times 12 cans of beer per day. That's no wonder old Frank's wife had to teach those piano lessons and everything.
Yes.
So.
I could only do that once a week.
Good answer.
And I forget who was mayor at that time, but they didn't think that was too cool.
Yeah.
And I was there, well, you're getting it for free.
Well, yeah.
But I had a lot of power people behind me.
Well, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice when that happens, isn't it? When,
Yes, it
every
is.
now and then you're in the driver's seat.
Who owned that building at the time? You remember?
No, I do not. No. In fact, I don't even remember what was in that building. But Wapsie Fly was the building what they tore down for Bremer Park, where that is now. And that moved to Mountain Home, Arkansas. And one of G's relatives bought the business, who was my age, and he moved it down there, and it's flourishing.
Okay.
Really? To change
Bremer. I said G, but I meant Bremer.
Yeah.
To change course a little bit here. You were saying you had over 30 heart surgeries?
No,
Excuse me.
I've had 14 different procedures.
14 procedures. Thank you.
To my heart.
So,
And it all started in 1993, July 25th.
So about the last 30 years.
30, that's
Yeah,
right.
30,
Thank
okay,
you. I
yeah.
knew it was
33
30
years.
33 years and 14 procedures.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I was down in the Quad Cities, my wife at that time and myself at my sisters and brother-in-law's for the Bix Festival. And that night, I don't even remember what time it was, but everybody was asleep and I couldn't sleep because I had this massive heartburn. And so I woke up Tom and Peg and I said, I got to go to the hospital. And they were there. This is Rock Island. You don't want to go there this time at night. And needless to say, we went to Trinity Hospital in Rock Island. Believe it or not, the doctor on call that night was the head cardio doctor. He comes in, he says, yeah, we'll go get you a GI cocktail. I don't remember that at all either. Yeah. And then he left the room and I burped and I said a couple words. I fell off the bed and crashed on the floor and I was deader than a doornail.
Wow.
They finally got my heart going again after a while and I was put in the elevator, go to the 7th floor. I think that was the floor where heart was, and I coded in the elevator, but I had the Widowmaker, and so they said I wasn't going to live the night. So they had to call my parents up north, Leech Lake, and at, I think it was 2 a.m. or something, and tell them that I'm not going to see morning. And 3 different priests kept walking by, and so I was last rited 3 times before 5 a.m. But my mom called up all the little church ladies from St. John's and Independence, told them get them beads smoking, and so I do believe that's what saved me.
Okay, and so you had like blockages? Is that what it would be, or?
No, something went wrong, and I had the Widowmaker.
Okay, that means like your heart just kind of quit, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm running on like 20 to 24% heart usage.
Okay.
Because of all the damage.
Yeah.
And then since then, though, I had 8 stents, not at all at one time either.
Right.
And I was going in AFib, and I was zapped, stopped my heart, and restart it 6 times. A couple of ablations, and then a mass on the outside of my heart.
Yeah.
And then we thought we were on a good roll because I never had no heart issue. And it averages out about every year and a half I would end up in the hospital with a heart issue.
So what is the biggest change in the treatment of the heart over the years, over those 30-some years?
Oh, well, my first 3 or 4 casts, what I had done to check out my arteries, were all through my groin, and they had to sandbag me because I couldn't move for like 6 hours, and I can't lay on my back very well, so I'm squirming. Well, they literally put sandbags on my legs so I cannot move.
Wow.
But yeah.
But they don't do that anymore. I think they're much more relaxed now, aren't they? Or
they go through my wrist. And one time in ER, when I thought I was having a heart attack, they had to put the IV in my right arm because my left arm wasn't cooperating. I told them, I said, no, you find it in my left arm.
Yeah.
Well, when I got into surgery, the nurses were all upset because the right arm is what they go use for a cath to go in and check everything out. So then, by golly, they found the spot for that.
Yeah. I bet you they did.
Yeah.
They've done it enough times.
So they all know you by your first name probably after all these years. You go to the same hospital pretty much every time?
Yes.
And do you have to go to Iowa City, or is it local? Or?
Unity Point, Waterloo.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of funny because Dr. Sundrum's building, the first building, I helped design that out with Steve Usher.
Okay.
And then the second design, we got that done, and then Steve decided to retire architecture. So I went to work for Larson Construction in Independence, and so I got to help build that. And there's a really big wooden door in that office, and I custom made that myself for Dr. Sundrum. And it's like 9'6" by 10 foot wide.
Okay.
And hardware we custom made ourselves too.
Wow. So it's kind of interesting how you end up back there with that doctor, though.
Yeah. And then Dr. Sundrum went and retired.
Yeah. Of course, that's good. If you outlive your doctor, that's a good sign.
Yes, it is.
Well, I've got just a couple other questions. We'll get you out of here.
Okay.
Dan, I know you and Joe have been talking about something perhaps you could do for the 250th with your rocks. What have you been talking about?
Well, we were talking about painting up 250 rocks and putting a number on them and maybe hiding them around town. And another thing, what we were brainstorming about was maybe get 3rd and 4th graders to paint 2 or 3 rocks each.
Yeah.
And then they could keep one, but then would hide the other ones.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
And then that would get the kids involved because then they would want to go walk the town to find them.
Yeah. You could combine that with a lesson about the 250 years of American history and everything, too. That would be great.
Yeah. Or a little bit bigger rocks and start a really big snake, out of painted rocks.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Or like that.
Yeah.
So is there any way that our listeners can help you with that right now, or are you just in the talking stages?
We're just in the talking stages as of right now.
Okay. The reason for the listeners, the reason that Dan's looking over his shoulder is Joe is the next guest.
That's his partner over there.
Yeah. So
Can I enter just a second?
sure.
Go on over, sit down.
This is kind of a surprise, actually. And so Dan will have another story about this that is well worth the reading. Judy put this together just before we.
Oh, okay.
But look at the date on this.
Oh,
1886.
Okay.
And we came by this. Dan's sister was looking for a place, and the Historical Society didn't care for it. So it's been on our fireplace. So maybe you could just kind of do the cliff notes of this, what you know about this.
Well, this was in my Aunt Julia's house, and she was a midwife in Buchanan County, and she helped, I'm just going to say, like 3,000 kids be born in Buchanan County. And so this was in my parents' basement for as long as I can remember, after my Aunt Julia went up above and to heaven. But I really never knew the story totally behind it. Will Beatty, him and his brother, they went to Texas on an adventure in 1886, and they came back to Independence, and they had this with them.
So Judy, just as I walked out the door, she Googled something where you can do a photo, and I don't really know the lingo, and there's lots of these out there, and they are worth some dinero, assuming you kind of track down the origin of it. But there's quite a story, and the one she pulled up was like $1,300 on.
That'll pay for your rock project.
Yes.
Well, obviously, it's not something you want to sell.
Right.
But you have to have a plan, though, for it.
The Longhorn is quite interesting. Before the Civil War, I think there were 1 million Longhorn cattle in Texas, and when all the ranchers and all the cattlemen went away to fight in the war, they came back. There were like 3 million Longhorn cattle in
They were
Texas.
wild, too.
Yeah.
They were very dangerous. So.
Yeah.
So where's this going to go? Who's going to get it?
Well, I got a friend that has her and her husband. They live up by Rudd, Iowa, and they have a horse boarding. So like if you're traveling, and they really aren't all that far off of Interstate 35. And then it's interstate right to their place because you turn on a gravel road, and 10 feet after you're on that gravel road, you're at their place.
Okay.
But they have a saloon, what they built there, and it's really Western style, cowboy way. And so I just thought Kathy and Mark could use that for the saloon.
Now, is that wood? What it's on? Is that like a piece of plank or something they cut, or is that? I can see the back now.
Yeah, it's wood, and it looks like walnut.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
With the old square-headed nails.
Yeah,
and for being 120 126 years old or something.
More than that.
40, yeah.
140.
It's in immaculate
It
condition.
looks really good.
It does. It is. That it'll be a story. We had a chance. Joe's going to be on here a little bit. We'll have to see how they came into the
Well, Dan knows
possession.
from his sister,
Ty,
Sue,
so-
who was moved. She probably had it in her house, right?
I think it was just in a box. My parents were like 6th generation family up in their attic of the house. So when my dad passed away, well, then it was time to clean
Time to
out
move it
the
out.
house.
Well, Dan, you're so kind to share your story with us, and we look forward to what you do with the 250th and Independence. Thank you so much for being on with us.
Yes, well, thank you for inviting me. I was totally shocked when I was asked to do this.
Well, if we had known about your heart condition, we probably wouldn't have didn't want to shock anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. though.
Yeah,
It's
well,
been fun.
thanks. It was awesome.
It was fun. Thank you. Thanks so much. This is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network, and we're back for the third half of our podcast.
Okay.
Third half, that mean overtime?
No,
Just that's the way he tells time.
it is the third half, and we're lucky enough to have with us Joe Olson again. Joe's been talking about the 250th birthday of our country. Joe, what do you have for us today?
Oh boy, I got a lot kind of on topic and a lot off topic, and I hope to get through it all. But as a follow-up, we talked about Common Sense being published on January 10th, 1776, soon became the most popular book ever and stayed that way for a long time. I got a copy because it's not in the library.
Okay.
And so a friend of mine made a copy of the whole thing. And so I just started getting through it and got through the first paragraph. And because the language, the times, is so much different than now. Mm-hmm. But this is AI night, thanks to Mr. Gillespie.
Yeah.
So if you don't like AI, I used so much AI in getting clarifying information about all the things I'm going to talk about tonight. So I even asked for the cliff notes of Common Sense. But I just wanted to read a couple things to show how things have changed so much. Common Sense, this is the header, on the origin and design of government in general, with concise remarks on the English Constitution. Okay, first paragraph. Now this will hit you. Society is produced by our wants and government by our wickedness. Whoa, we could look at that a little more closely.
Yes.
But then this goes on to talk about an alternative to the rule of the king. And in very provocative language that obviously people had different grasp of the language then than they do now, because first paragraph, society, about wickedness. The former, about our wants, promotes our happiness positively by uniting our affections. The latter negatively by restraining our vices. The one encourages intercourse, the other creates distinctions. Okay, X-rated right there. 250 years later.
Yeah.
And throughout it, it's like, okay, I'm going to need somebody to decipher the wordage. But there's a lot of really neat stuff in there. And actually, AI-wise, I found out that there are repeat publications where they added a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and there's a timeline for that where it kind of refined the message. Okay, we'll come back to that, but the question from last time was, what was Iowa like 250 years ago today, or 250 years ago? So I looked it up. AI. Iowa was primarily wilderness. Think of wilderness, like pretty much unexplored. Nobody been there. Not too many places left now. Untouched prairie inhabited by native nations. 5.6 million acres of forest. Nomadic hunting of beginning of the French-Canadian fur trader route. So they were beginning to come this way.
Sure.
Under control of Spain, under some land transfer that you could get into. But settlement in Iowa didn't begin until the 1830s. So now my wife, the historian, says, well, there were crossings at Quoskey, encampments, various places along the river. Well, no, I didn't know that. But if you wanted to use AI and take a little piece of this and say, tell me more, oh my goodness, it's just, there's so much there. And then the dots start to go, but it gets kind of overwhelming when you consider what it would be like trying to piece together what's going in our country right now as compared to what was going on then. So AI suggested in the timeline of the American Revolution that the key event in February of 1776 was the Battle of Moores Creek Bridge in Curry, North Carolina. Population today, 300. So I got out the map. Okay, where is this? I also found that in AI, it will tell you what led up to the battle, what happened in the battle, why it was won, and why it was significant in the grand scheme of things. Because in February, obviously, it was winter in the rest of the country, but the Loyalists, I get these two confused, the Loyalists were defeated by the Patriots, and it set the stage for the war moving further north. And I read something about going from Boston to New York. And again, there's so much information about kind of almost minute by minute by minute things of how the war developed. So pretty fascinating. I'm confused by like the label. If you were just say, okay, I'm a patriot. Okay, that sounds good. I'm a loyalist. That sounds good.
They're only the patriots because they won.
Right. Well, I'm a loyalist patriot. What does that mean? In the language of the connotation of what that meant. The loyalists were loyal to the king, right, Jim? The patriots were loyal to the new country and breaking away from the king. Could be, it's interesting language.
We would talk a lot about this in contemporary affairs as we looked at issues throughout the world. Yeah. And to the winner, the other side are terrorists. So the patriots would have been terrorist to the loyalist.
And when you move forward 250 years, the language that we use, like illegal aliens, as things to kind of demonize whatever you're against. And that's been going on a long time. It's interesting how, well, I don't even know how I get into this, but my wife has been researching about the history of immigration in this country. Well, this has been a hot topic for a long time in so many different ways. The version of our current version is a continuation of that, I guess.
Well, do you remember Harvest of Shame? You remember that show?
No.
Edward R. Murrow, about the migrant workers in the 1950s working in California, how they were mistreated and cheated and killed by the farmers that hired them and then refused to pay them, and they allowed them to come across the border and then go back because it kept food prices down. But it's called Harvest of Shame. It was a TV program, and Edward R. Murrow did it. And so
Harvest of Shame.
Harvest of Shame.
You know,
if you look
kind
up,
of accumulating lists of things that are important things to watch.
There's also Thomas Paine wrote a second book very critical of religion, and that got him ostracized, where he was not given any kind of awards or honors or anything because of this book he wrote, very critical of religion.
And now you mentioned that, I think he returned to England and he was kind of revered by some. And
but in the States, you know, he didn't get his place among the heroes of the Revolutionary War
kind of like
that he should
Benedict
have.
Arnold, who was a hero at one time.
Well, but they did not care for his thesis on religion. So.
I guess my message here is that anyone listening that's interested in history can use AI or use Google to really dig in. And then you can dig in further, and you dig in further.
AI, where did it get its information?
All right, so I can help you with this.
Okay.
So there is every minute. This could be outdated, but last I heard, every minute there was 24 hours of new material laid down onto the internet, and the AI takes from the internet. So imagine, as we were here for this long show, as the listeners sit there asking why Gillespie gives this fact, but think about that. Every minute, 24 hours of new information is put on that AI can use.
And I guess what I'm finding is that the information there is much better than the information that I get off Facebook or anything, news sources, because you have to, almost getting to the point where you have to backtrack, fact check, source check. And I'm not sure how you fact check AI.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what. Well, you think the Battle of Gettysburg. You can have a book, very scholarly book written by someone from the North, and a same battle being someone from the South, and someone objective, not from the North or from the South, and you have to put those three things together to come up with an opinion of your own, because their facts are going to be different depending on their slant. And I just wonder, like with AI, they gather all this stuff, and then who sorts it out? I know there's no who, but how does it get sorted out where it's factual information?
If you had the time and energy, you'd compare the book sources with what you get out of this.
Yeah.
The book sources really turned me off in school, and I have experienced more brain power just with the tidbits of information that I can get than take it the next step.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, wow, this has just opened up for me connections that I didn't think were in my brain.
To defend AI a little bit, forgive me, I'm trying to look at
You're kind of on the skeptical
I'm looking at
side,
the
right?
timers.
I've been taught, you read one source,
right.
You get something from it, but you're not 100% sure. You need to fact check that if it's something really important. You can't just.
So my wife was a media specialist. AI stuff is driving her over the top. She said, "Oh my gosh, I don't want nothing to do with this. Oh, bad."
Yeah, well, I go with her. Yeah,
I can defend AI as an argument. I don't know what you guys are using for AI, but what I use
as little as possible. I'm sure.
But what I use has the resources. It shows the resource where the stuff comes from.
Okay.
But that's not to mention also the stuff you can put together by feeding bits of information that you think into AI. It'll come out with this very organized. It's like, this is how I was supposed to learn how to write.
Right. Now, some of the things like that diatribe that I introduced the show with tonight, I entered about 10 things that I wanted into it. And I entered it into the AI. I want a poem. I want to talk about, I want hay wagon. I want lantern. I want this. I want that. And then it printed. And it sounded a hell of a lot smarter than I am.
And it's also a good rough draft to start with to say, okay, here's my visual. Like, how do I expand it?
Yeah.
Now, I got to tell you, coffee this morning, there's like 5 guys sitting around the table, and one guy said, well, I want to ask a question. Is anybody experimenting with AI? And around the table, we went from, dipping your toes into, I'm not going to touch that.
Yeah.
So it's coming, and it's probably going to be the next environmental crisis because of the energy and water.
The water supply is going to...
They're building a lot of them in Wisconsin. I think they're building one in Palo, aren't they? So it's kind of all in the QT, actually. Anyway.
So Virginia has the most, is what I heard.
Yeah.
That Virginia has lots of them.
But they're trying to build a lot of them in Wisconsin. Yeah. But that's another thing to kind of research the implications of all this, and you get up something in one ear and something out of the other.
Yeah.
But part of... Can I digress a little bit?
Go.
Okay. Partly due to AI, partly due to Jim, partly due to my own kind of exploring. A lot of things have kind of appeared in front of me in the last month, and I wanted to share a few of those. How do I say this? Our Christmas letter this year was sent out, and then I discovered the Christmas letters from 2021. And the message in 2021 was, man, we're tired of what's going on around us. So here it is, 2025. Okay, that really stuck with me. And then about a month after that, I saw this cartoon about whistling by the graveyard. And I would invite you to look that definition up, because when I looked it up, it was like, there's Joe Olson. There I am. I'm whistling by the graveyard about so many things, and I want to stop. I want to do something different. So then it's like, okay, what's each person's effort to not pretend that everything is okay when you feel in your gut it's not okay. There was a graveyard 2 blocks down from where I grew up. Big Catholic graveyard. The road went through it, and I had my paper out. I'd always go around it because of the goblins in there. Apply that to now, and it's prompted a lot of changes in terms of how I look at things and maybe how I talk about things. So it's kind of like, I looked up serendipity, how events come together, and you kind of like this aha. Okay, I found that serendipity is more a function of paying attention and listening, because all of a sudden you find out bits of information that connect to others. So then what was the other word I looked up? Epiphany, where something comes together.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of that. And one of the keys that I've found to both of those things that I've really tried to ratchet up my listening skills. So then I found like peeling the onion questioning, where you go 5 questions into someone's comment that you maybe don't understand. And each thing you then are curious about the response. And all of a sudden you start to get to the core of people's what's there in a way that is almost too much social worky for me. Sometimes I can't get past the second question because my bias, you talked about bias, gets in the way. And so I end up starting to talk about me. Yeah. And gosh, it happens all the time, even though I'm thinking about, okay, I got to keep asking more, because it's not about me. I want to understand what that other person goes. So then over the top of that, I watched the 2019 Tom Hanks movie, It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Watch that movie with a box of Kleenex, and you'll say, why can we not bring that back? Yeah. What you referenced about the connection. Yeah. So I want to do one more that happened today when we're talking about the project. And somebody said, I don't get Facebook. Another person, I never heard about that. And so this person who is an organizer said, the most effective way to get the word out is to talk to people and then get them to talk to people. Yeah. Well, that's like the way it used to be before all this stuff. There you go. You think you express your opinion to someone, and then, or something's going on, you tell them, and that the old 10-10-10 rule, that pretty soon the word is out because people are tuning out a lot of the cyber stuff.
So at one time when you and I talked, Joe, you thought that social media was the route, but you believe now that literally speaking to people.
Social media is a route, but there's so many options. Like somebody was saying, well, I'm on TikTok. Well, I don't have a clue what TikTok is. Yeah. A lot of thing about Facebook being a lot of false information, so they're just knocking off. My kid's been off of Facebook for 3 years. Well, how does he get his information? From blogs, from whatever. Social media is a tool, and you can't overlook it. Izzy is on our committee about all the stuff that's coming every day. It's like the cheese keeps changing about what social media needs to be. So you got to keep up with that. But on the other hand, I get more from talking with you than I get.
I value that. Thank you for saying that.
Something you said reminded me, I read a quote and it said it was what a bad feeling, and they said more eloquently, what a bad feeling it is when halfway through an argument you come to the realization that the point you've been making is absolutely wrong and you somehow have got to get out of that.
There's a great Saturday Night Live episode from not so long ago where this mother is saying, it's so hard to say, I'm thinking about changing my mind. Yeah. Which leads up to my thing on Saturday. I'm going to this forum for the first time. I want to know what it takes to change a legislator's mind. And if I don't know, I want to ask, and I want to say, well, how many constituents do you need to hear from before you say, whoops, maybe I better backpedal? So that's kind of my survey. If they can read through that and come out of it with some kind of consensus of what people are thinking, they can dismiss it by saying, well, it's a bunch of blah, 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 and, it's not balanced. Yeah. But it's a survey.
Yeah. May I tell you how to change a legislator's mind? I know how to do that. No, I'm serious.
Oh, here we go. Now, this is opinion. You need to say, this is my opinion, man.
Okay. All right. So I used to teach with a legislator. He had to quit his job, quit teaching because he was a legislator. He couldn't do both. And so he quit his job. I am, the listeners know I'm big into UBI, Universal Basic Income. And we'll talk about that someday, Joe. I kept asking him as a legislator, where do you stand on UBI? He would tell me the Democratic stance on UBI. He would not say his stance. I asked him 10 times and, because I knew him. I could ask him the question. Finally, he didn't run again as a legislator. He told me his answer.
Which was
he is for it. But he couldn't say he was for it because he had to follow the party line.
Well, as I looked at this, it's like, what are the constituents that impact decisions? And so on the voter, obviously, is one maybe, but they have a lot of masters. Lobbyists, party line, bias. Yeah. I personally think bias and belief fuels decisions, which fuels policy.
Well, I read a thing and it said, well, like if you're elected to the House of Representatives, you have 2 years. They say from day one, you have to make X number of dollars per day in donations or whatever if you're going to run again in 2 more years. You have to start thinking about that right away. It's your first thing you start thinking about was how can I make enough money to run again in 2 years? And so, that's a darn, we should have some kind of public funding of campaigns and get these billions of dollars out of it, because I think that is what's ruining everything. That's my opinion, yes, sir.
You know where that comes from,
Well,
right?
the Supreme Court decision. I guess if President Trump can say the Supreme Court is wrong, then I can say it too.
He goes against it all the time, right?
Well, yeah. Well, they're wrong if they disagree with him, and they're right if they agree with him, and that's not the way it's supposed to work.
So, Joe, you're going to this legislative session.
Curiosity. I've never been there before.
Okay.
And I hope I get my 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, do you know how to get your 5 minutes?
Well, I'll find out. It's not hard. I don't know how big an audience there will be, so there may be a bunch of... I don't know, but I'll let you know.
Do you have a plan for your 5 minutes?
Oh, absolutely.
And also, I think they should let you talk.
I've been losing sleep over, rehearsing how to say things that might flip the script.
Yeah.
And what if they drag you out of the hall like they did on the Reverend last
They
night?
will not drag me out of the hall. In fact, they're going to call me and say, we want to come to your Thursday group, coffee group at...
Well, they'll probably lift you on their shoulders and say, here's our candidate
here.
This man.
Okay.
Well, he's
I need to
convinced us
switch
he
the subject here.
needs to run things.
Can I switch the subject?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I got just a couple minutes.
Okay.
This is breaking news. I'm on a committee that is planning to light the dam lighting project.
The
The
dam
dam lighting project.
Okay.
DAM.
Yeah, right, exactly. And we're going to be announcing probably April 1st a fundraising drive of $35,000 to light the dam as an experiment to see how it looks.
Okay.
And I'm pretty excited about it, and hopefully it can be kind of a grassroots campaign, and that maybe if wishes were fishes, it would be done by the 4th of July. Mm-hmm. But there'll be more information in terms of flyers, things online, QR, things you can scan. This is going to be fun. And you were talking about Brimmer Park. This is all connected to Brimmer Park because you stand over the railing there and look at the dam and the...
So the lights are going to be under the water, behind the water?
Apparently on the bridge, shown towards the dam.
Oh, that'd be a lot easier than what I was thinking about.
It goes through, you see lights in the water, and you also see lights behind the dam. And it's you connect it to like the computer, so you can change colors, you can do different patterns, blah, blah, blah.
You do red, white, and blue. Because they were showing in Yosemite, they have a waterfall. I think it's called the Horse's Tail. And the 2 weeks in February, the sun is just right, so when it shines on it for like 15 minutes, it turns red. It's called the Flame of the Fall, the Flaming Falls or whatever. And they were showing it's a very big tourist. And so something like that in Independence, your stores have to stay open at night to get the full benefit of it. But that would be something that people will come to see, because a lighting display like that is very, very interesting.
Plus, it has the potential to be kind of the neatest pocket park around. We get the mural thing, get some more plants in there, handicap restroom kind of stuff.
Sure. So it's a big project.
Well, the first step is the lighting, and to me, it's cost effective just as an experiment. Mm-hmm. There will be in-kind funds. Now it's going to be under the Special Projects Fund and the foundation, Northeast Iowa Community Foundation. So the donations are tax deductible. That sort of thing.
Nobody pays taxes anymore.
Yeah. And you can also get an Iowa tax credit through donations.
Yeah, but if you don't pay Iowa tax, then that credit does you no good.
Well, then it's a donation to charity.
Okay,
make
it a donation to charity, but you can't sell the tax thing anymore because it doesn't work.
Well, it works for me.
Well, you must make a lot more money than we do.
Yeah, right. So. No, through the foundation, there's a special category where you can the Iowa Endowment, blah blah. Mm-hmm. So So no
Yeah.
matter what tax you pay, Iowa state tax, you get a 20 whatever credit on that. So
Yeah.
Cool.
anyway, I digress.
I heard someone talking today about the mortgage credit that you can deduct interest that you pay on your mortgage. But they say most people in the middle class take the standard deduction, so it does them absolutely no good to have that law, but that the very wealthy, of course, take advantage of that. And so it saves them a lot of money. So when they brag about this mortgage, you can deduct your mortgage payment, it only works for a very small percentage of the people. And that there are a lot of things like that that sound good, but when you look at them,
It's different.
yeah, well, yeah, they do nothing. It does nothing for most of us, and so I don't know.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Joe.
Well, thank you. That was very interesting.
Well, I'd like to come back. One of the things I missed was talking about leveraging, and I was hoping to leverage some of Blake's skills on a little project. Well, just an example. An idea was to get a drone and take a video of the dam and the mill, and then make a little clip with some music to it, which I think AI can do, right?
Oh yeah.
Huh?
Do you mess with AI at all or not? Yeah, I bet you do. Okay, sorry.
Nothing he would put his name on. See,
So things are going to heat up in terms of the 250 years ago today.
yeah, I was just thinking you got to get going.
Yeah.
because these things always take longer than.
Well, I could be doing something till 2033, right? To when the war actually ends.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a long war. Yeah,
You could be.
yeah.
You could co-host this with
It
Dale,
It
actually.
started before we had the declaration and ended way later. So,
Are we off camera or not?
No,
no,
we're still
on.
on.
So watch what you say.
Well, have you talked at all about the art thing you did on Monday, or the thing at the Gedney where all those people came together? That was way cool.
Yeah, the art collaboration. We talk. Well, we just share that we have it.
Oh my gosh! I was a first-time attender. That was a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10.
It is an interesting way to spend the morning,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, just you find out a lot about people. It has nothing to do with art. I think these things influence their art, like personal problems they've had or tragedies in their life. I think they influence their art, but it's just interesting to hear what these people have to say, and you would never know unless you were just sitting around talking
Well,
about
there's
these
that
people.
onion thing. You
Yeah.
start asking
It
questions,
is.
and
Yeah.
you find out, and then the tragedies, blah, blah, what shape they're.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of heavy on the head, actually.
Oh, yeah.
You go around the circle. We had a photographer. We had a gardener. We had a
Spiritualist.
Painter, musician.
And the one guy would say he's a spiritualist, or he does readings, or hunts ghosts and that sort of thing.
Ghosts
Yeah.
and artist vibes. We had a writer. We had
Who's the guy visually
we had a
impaired?
mechanic.
Yeah.
Auto mechanic.
So I can get my car detailed there?
You can. I've had him detail my car there
A
before.
couple of broken down old teachers that have no talent at all.
That's
see,
right.
so-
A couple of podcasters.
So where's his shop?
Just diagonal across the block over here.
What a fascinating man.
Yeah.
Derek Marty. He's one of the sponsors of the show. So this Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network will be right back with the conclusion of our show. This is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. Just a few things before we get out of here tonight. Don't forget, we are showing artists in Gedney's. We are showing artists in M's Coffee. We are showing artists in the Jesup Public Library. There will be one in the Farmer's Kitchen in Fairbank in the future.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
good.
are in
Good.
negotiations for that, and she has okayed that. So we're working on that
And
presently.
there's some pretty good space there, too, for some things. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is. We want to remind you that we have an event coming up at Joe's Pizza in Manchester, March 18th. We'll be showing Billy Joel Dukowski. We'll be showing Katie Balvans, and we'll be showing Rex Nielsen. Don't forget, we have the 24-hour Mustang camera sponsored by Joe's Pizza and Independence, and we have the Manchester Hawk 24-hour camera in Manchester. Don't forget the Little Free Art House in Independence. Remember, I need the audience to help me to meet 12 new artists, and it sounds like Dan is going to help me do that.
Yeah,
So
all right.
thank you so much. Remember that anxiety does not exist with gratitude. Dale, before before I wind it up here, is there anything you want to share?
No, I'll keep it all to myself this week.
All right. If you'd like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center and have an idea for an event, go to stevebrownartscenter.org and follow the link. If you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@stevebrownartscenter.org or call 319-290-0241 and leave a message. I don't want an AI message. I'm Jim Gillespie with host Dale Rueber, producer Blake Tempus. Our thanks to Becky Burke and the Jesup Public Library tonight for hosting us and sponsoring us. Thanks to Kelly for allowing us to, Kelly C. Haas for allowing us to use the podcast equipment. Thanks to the audience for bringing these stray dogs into your life. Remember, each day is about little victories. This is a win.
Yeah.